for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like that.
As a mother of a teenage boy, I don't like that terror.
That's the malicious thing I've ever heard.
That is awful.
I think that men should be frightened
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were,
not comfortable with.
But we're talking about
but
teenagers,
we're not talking about.
children.
We're not talking about.
We're talking about young.
Welcome back to the Mikey Mike Show, News and Entertainment. It's me, Michael B. Wiley. Piers Morgan invited a few guests on this show to discuss the Me Too movement. He asked the three of them, do you guys think the Me Too movement has gone too far? And they had some very interesting points of views. However, the most interesting points of views came from the young lady sitting in the middle with all black, as she stated that she thinks that teenage boys should be terrified, frightened to interact and be flirtatious with teenage girls. We're going to take a look at this clip and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it.
A lot of young men feel they're getting disenfranchised by society. They're all being over-demonized, that any attempt to be the traditional male figure is now being rubbished and called toxic.
Well, I mean, if you really felt that and you really went out there and you were an alpha male, then you wouldn't be bothered about a bunch of women telling you that you were...
Well, you would if
like
you get cancelled, like
as an
Andrew
alpha
Tate.
male.
If you get banned from
I mean,
every
he's
social
hardly
media
been
platform.
cancelled. He was on your programme, which is on national television.
But
so
it's the
that's
only
hardly a
platform actually he's had
cancellation.
for a long time because all the social media companies banned him, literally banned him. He had his email gone, his Google gone, his Facebook gone. It all went down like dominoes.
Well, he's still on there, very, very prolific on there. I can't move for clips of him
Yeah, but
on
they're not
TikTok.
generated by him now.
Well, but that's been for quite some time.
But should he
He's still
be
got
punished that way?
But what is punished? What is punished? It's
Punish
just,
is where
obviously...
companies take a decision which, in my view, in this case, was perverse because they still allow, for example, the Ayatollah of Iran to have a Twitter account.
Yes.
So there's no consistency here at all.
Well, but however, we love a bit of free market. I'm sure you do, judging by that suit, which is lovely. But, you know, social media companies are private companies.
Can you not
they can do
objectify
whatever
them,
they can do
I'll
whatever
take all the
they like.
objectification I like.
Of course he will, yeah. All right, Isabel.
But Ava, your point about, you know, if men were that alpha, then they wouldn't be that bothered by this, doesn't really help us when it comes to boys growing up. And that is one of my worries, that for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much. Well,
I like that.
As a
I
mother
think
of
that
a
men
teenage
should be
boy, I
frightened.
don't like
Really?
that
That's the
terror.
I
most
do.
malicious thing I've ever heard.
That is
I
awful.
think that men should be frightened
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were,
not
if
comfortable
you were.
with.
But we're talking about
Yeah, but we're not talking about. We're not
children.
talking about.
We're talking about
it's an
young
interesting
children.
thing that you see. I would say that attitude actually is part of the problem too. That's to me toxic femininity.
It is.
That is saying you should all be terrified, you men, if you put one.
Of assaulting.
Well, I think we all understand what sexual
What is
assault
an
is.
assault?
What Isabel's talking about is that young teenage clumsiness
really
in many
hard.
cases, which is now being recategorised as assault. Is that a problem?
It's not being recategorised as assault. It's always been assault. It's just we're finally talking about it.
I don't agree with that.
That's
But
ridiculous.
Teenage boy fumbling with
touch
teenage
on the
girl
knee.
is not
Not even
in
that.
most cases assault, is it?
Do you remember Aziz Ansari, right? Hot off the heels of Me Too, hot off the heels of Harvey Weinstein rightly being dragged through the courts, and it should have got way worse than just prison time, in my opinion. Aziz Ansari had a consensual relationship with a woman. She felt a bit awkward, and afterwards rescinded consent, and he was lumped in, and he had his career.
No, I'm with you on that one.
cancelled.
I'm with
So
you.
then why should men be afraid?
Okay.
No, but she
But
rescinded his consent, and
how are
she
young
saw
boys
that then
supposed to
as the same
navigate
thing.
this, the whole
Yeah, I
thing?
agree.
I'm
Well,
thinking
you
of
need to
my
have-
teenage son. You know, he's 14, 15. What's he supposed to say? Would you mind if I put
Isabel,
my
you are an
hand and
extremely
then, come
strong
on,
woman. I
come
know
on.
in your house you're teaching them the difference between assault and then
Of
coming
course,
on
of
to
course.
someone. I know you are.
But what we're talking about is it's been very interesting watching the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, how it's all developed. Because a lot of very bad people, Harvey Weinstein and others, got their due comeuppance. We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
This is not even something to be debated. We're really talking about the grey line. right? Where is that grey line? How do you navigate it? When you're an experienced adult and you've been around the block in many ways, you can navigate that much more intelligently and with emotional intelligence than you can if you're a teenage boy. And I think the point Isabel makes is a good one. I've had 3 sons in their 20s. I've always taught them to be respectful to women, and I believe they are. But I do think it's really hard for a 16, 17-year-old boy now in this environment to know even how to start
they are all
having kind of some
terrified.
kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I think it is actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever start?
Well, don't. If you're not 100%
Don't.
sure,
What are we going
don't.
for?
What are you going to have? A bunch of neutered boys who
But
never
it's
had...
so obvious.
We actually
It's
do
sort
have
of
that.
like-
Gen Z is having far less sexual relationships
Yes,
than any
they
ever
are.
before.
It's true.
And
young
hang
people
on,
have stopped having sex.
I agree with.
When you start using phrases like you should be terrified, nobody should be terrified on any side of this, I don't think. But good debate.
Now, I guess she is right because I am frightened. I am frightened because I'm married with 3 kids, 2 of those kids being boys. And one day they will be teenage boys. And hearing this type of thinking frightens me. Because no matter how much you tell your kid to do something or to not do something, and how to do something and how not to do something, they still must learn through experience. And I would rather my teenage boys, learn as teenagers than adults, to where they could be tried and charged. I want you guys to take a look with me at this clip with Candace Owens. And I don't agree with everything this woman has said or put out. However, I do agree with how she stick up for men. We're going to take a look at this clip and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it.
So first up, let's talk about Nicki Minaj. Speaking of women and women empowerment, she has recently given an interview and admitted that she wants to be a role model for Black women and give them confidence due to their lack of representation in the music industry. She's 39 years old, and she spoke about how she always felt that she was not good enough growing up because she didn't see Black women on the covers of magazines. She also said that she wants to empower young girls to believe that they don't need a guy for anything. And she did this, by the way, speaking to ID Magazine while fronting their winter 2022 issue. I definitely want to pause there because I think that kind of goes in line with the nuance of what I'm trying to say. I think it's great that Nicki Minaj wants to show people that they should be confident and show women that they can be whatever they want. But I don't quite understand why it always has to come at the denigration of men. Like, I don't understand that they don't need a guy for anything. It's like, you do need a guy for something. You do, actually. I believe that men and marriage and relationships are aspirational, and that men make women better people and women make men better people. I can say that since becoming married, I have become a better person and my husband has become a better person. And I think women calm men, right? And I almost want to say that we focus men in the way that they need to be focused. And men calm women in that it's very easy for women to become petty and to obsess about things that don't really matter. And men kind of give us the clearer and the bigger picture. They calm women down. And so I do realize, and I think that this is one of the bad elements of feminism, is that it kind of teaches you that in order to empower women, you have to say something about how they don't need a man. And I don't agree with that. But
now it takes women to stick up for men. We need women to stick up to women for men. Like Candace Owens, like the young lady that was sitting on the right of the woman that was in all black, stating that men should be frightened. Teenage boys should be frightened, terrified. We need women that will stick up and say, no, this kind of thinking is not only absurd, but it's outrageous, and it's just crazy, just ludicrous. You know, this type of thinking is ludicrous. We need women to speak out, speak up for men like that. This type of thinking is ludicrous. if you have teenage boys, if you have boys that will be teenagers one day, this type of thinking should frighten you. But that's my take on it. I want to know your thoughts and your concerns in the comment section. Peace out. Hey, what's up? It's me, Michael B. Wiley, and this the Mikey Mike Show. You like what you see? Hit that like button. Press that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time I drop a video. And let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. Peace out.